Hello everyone. It's been a little while since I've done the last tier list, so I need to update it. Because before, I didn't have the old Pokemon like Dodrio and Clefable in, and I think Scizor either. I think I had all of them predictions rather than actual things. So, we'll do the same again this time. We'll get all the new Pokemon in. And yeah, also including Sableye and Zoroark predictions as well this time. They're coming out soon. So, we'll see. We'll have to do another tier list after those two come out. But yeah, so here we go. First of all, is a Venusaur. So Venusaur, as we have seen, is probably one of the worst performing Pokemon in the game right now, if not the worst. It's outperformed by everything. Like Mew is just 50 times better. No doubt about it, it's D tier. Next pick, I think Gengar is solid A tier. Very solid A tier. Hex, the range got nerfed, but it's still like incredibly good. The lighting is not the lighting is not incredibly good for me right now, but you don't need to see my lighting. You don't need to see my face, just the tears. But yeah, like Gengar performing very well. Both builds good. Hex can always snowball. Dream Eater, you got to be a little more careful how you play. But yeah. So mime still double S tier, still crazy broken. They buffed him by fixing his auto attack range on his left hand. Who even knew that was an issue? I didn't. I've played what 1300 games of mime. Yeah, who knows? Mime confusion. He needs a nerf. Power swap needs to be nerfed. So next up is Snorlax. In solo queue, I think it's not the same as stacked. I think in stacks, he'd probably be A tier. But I think in solo queue, it's more of a B tier. But I guess for general, I'd say like low A tier for stacked gameplay. Like solo queue, if you have duo trio, it's probably better as well. Next up, Gardevoir. Also a solid D tier contender. I don't think it's as bad as Venusaur, but it's pretty damn bad, honestly. It's just it just doesn't do enough, I think. A little bit underwhelming in all the aspects it has. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So next up, Absol. Absol, I think, has fallen out of favor. All the other speeds kind of do its job better, really, at the moment, I feel. It's still, I say all the other, like, it's still good. But I think it's a solid B tier. I don't think it does anywhere near as much as it did before. And if you want to play Absol, you might as well just play something else like a Dodrio. Or you could play Gengar. As simple as that. So next, Garchomp. Another good contender for the D tier list, I believe. He's just underwhelming, you know. It's maybe like if we put them in order. Maybe I think I'll order the tiers this time. I think Garchomp's better than these two, but I think he just kind of sucks, really. Still has the same issues as before. He just can't get onto most of the good Pokemon, like Mime, Mew, stuff like that in the game. Spoilers, Mew is probably going to be top tier again. Yeah, so like Lucario, put him a solid B tier again. I don't think he's A tier, but is he better than Absol? Like, I think people are having more success with Pup than E-Speed at the moment. I think X-Tac Pup is a very good way to play him. Spoilers for another video as well. But yeah, I think he's a decent B tier. And let's go with Crustle. I think I'd put Crustle in the C tier. He has some uses for doing some scoring shenanigans, but I still think he's not that great. He's definitely lower performing than people would like him to be. Sip some tea, as if you couldn't tell, I'm English. Yeah. So next up, we got the Greninja. The Ninja is coming back, but is he? I'm gonna have to put him in B tier as well. I don't think he's insane. You kind of need to snowball early. If you don't snowball, you're just gonna die. He can do well in solo queue, but I think in stacked gameplay he doesn't perform as well. It's all about the snowball on him. And then Talonflame. Talonflame is one of those picks which I thought was good, very good previously. But I think it's definitely seeing less play because so much stuff just does its job better. Like Dodrio again. Dodrio kind of just outclasses a lot of people and everything. So another speedster being dropped in B tier. I think it's a low B tier for me. I don't think it's as bad as these ones. Like if you want a Crustle, you could just take Talonflame. But if you want Talon, just take Dodrio. And then next up, Charizard. I think Charizard is still a very strong pick, even after all the nerfs. The only issue is currently I don't know if Clefable's bugged, but gravity stops Charizard existing, really. You can't attack inside of it in whatever form. If you're flying, even as Charmeleon, you can't. So specifically for the Clefable encounter, I might have to put it B, but everything else, I think it's performing A, so I might just keep him low A. He does very well in those situations, and always you can stop dunks through Rayquaza shield, true damage or piercing damage is always great. Can't complain with that. And next, Zera. I think Zera is still one of those mediocre picks. It's not found like specific usage yet, I guess. It's still struggling a little behind a lot of the other picks. It's still, obviously, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of playing against any Spark Wild Charge Zeraors. You can't target them a lot of the time, they can snowball. But I don't think it has the potential as other picks, really. I think it's just another standard B tier. And I think that's also the same with Cinderace too. I think Cinderace is another B tier contender. I think we just have a lot of like standard picks that aren't crazy, but aren't terrible. I don't know whether I'm trying to think whether it's better than Greninja or not. Its Unite is always good for last hitting. I think it's better than Greninja's last hit. But do we put him above? A lot of people, I see a fair few more Cinderaces in EU at least compared to Greninjas. But let's put him above him. Let's put him above him. You guys can fight. You guys can fight over that. And now the next one pick, which I do not like how it's performing, as I don't think it's as bad as it looks. Its win rate is very low, but I think it's a solid C tier. I think I would personally push it to B tier, but I think people will be angry because people definitely are not performing well on him right now. I think the best way to play him is the X attack build. I don't think the Eldegoss plays as like a proper support at the moment. Like his Eldegoss's Unite is always going to be good for team fights. Don't get me wrong. Doesn't matter what you do with it. If you go the X attack damage build, you can one shot squishies with it, or you can just actually keep your team alive with it. Which, if you have some good picks like Tyranitar or some tankier picks, like you can just keep alive forever, speeding them up. You can heal up your carries anyway. So I think it's a better pick, but it's not performing well, so I'll keep it at C tier. Next up, Cram. It's another pick that's just kind of dropped off. I haven't seen many people really playing this as much. It doesn't seem too terrible, but I think it's a B tier. I think it honestly dropped down in mid to low B tier. Like maybe I'll get some angry people about this, but it just doesn't seem to do anywhere near as much. Especially like if you want to go dive build, Clefable exists. You're kind of doomed. You can't use anything. It's the same with a lot of stuff. Like a lot of these picks, Clefable kind of screws over unless you have to play full heal, but then you have to play full heal to deal with Clefable. So I think it's just a standard B tier. Next up as well, Blastoise. I don't want to feel like I'm sticking too much to the B tier, but I feel like I might have to again. I think Blastoise is also another B tier contender. I don't think it's crazy. It got buffed relatively recently, but it doesn't seem to be performing incredibly well. Its Unite's always going to be good, but it doesn't seem to bring as much to the table, and also it can get countered by a lot of hindrance. Like hindrance resistance got weaker, effectively, I believe, because they've made everything guaranteed, like from Buzzwell's stuff, like Serena's kit, cancel like Blastoise when there was confusion whether it was meant to or not because of how patch notes were showed. But yeah, it still gets stopped by like all of Buzzwell's abilities. So, but Buzzwell's not the most picked, but he's definitely getting more play. But yeah, just as an example, I think it's a B tier. Now, next up, Pikachu. I'm gonna have to say that Pikachu is also another one of those picks where it has some uses. I won't lie. Honestly, I don't think it's as bad as C. I think it's a low B. Volt Tackle is always going to be annoying. Like, you can't get away from the fact that Volt Tackle is incredibly annoying. And also, it actually works against Clefable's gravity because you're unstoppable during the dash. So, from what I know, you can unstoppable into gravity, and it's all good. But yeah, it counters a lot of some of the specific picks that have to go in melee range, like Dodrio as well. Anything that jumps in, you can Volt Tackle, but it's just kind of underperforming as well. Don't think it's the best pick, but it's not terrible, so I'll keep it at low B. Next up, Clefable. I'm going to put it right at the top of A tier. Right at the top of A tier. I don't think it's crazy. but like Gravity itself is definitely the best move. Moonlight is obviously you can just spamming your Moonlight. You know, you can heal everyone. The mobility is always nice. I don't like its Unite moves. The Unite moves, obviously it's random. Sometimes you'll just get an explosion when you literally need anything else other than explosion. And the other times you get an explosion when you're trying to pre-move somewhere and you just stand in the middle of nowhere and hit nothing. So honestly, it's Unite move I think is letting it down a little bit. Like obviously it's nice getting the good ones, but I feel like it's a very strong pick, but it doesn't perform as well solo. If you have a duo trio partner, yeah, like I think Clefable's value goes up massively, especially into 5 stacks. So okay, next up A9. I think A9 is a solid C tier contender. Keep it down in the C tier, you know. Blizzard build doesn't seem to be doing crazy. The auto attack build I think seems to be doing a little better, but it's just it doesn't seem to be played that much. Isn't noticeably great when I played against it or played it, so I'm going to keep it there. Wigglytuff, I think, is another B tier pick. Actually, seeing Pikachu here, I want to put him above these. Also put Wiggly above these. I think Wiggly's a B tier, maybe mid B tier. Obviously, Wiggly Sing is always going to have the same thing against good melee picks, but it just doesn't seem to do enough really. Its Unite is just underwhelming now. After the nerfs a long time ago, it just rollout doesn't crit anymore. Wiggly's abilities don't crit. You don't have the niche. It just kind of it's struggling at the moment. I think we may see some. Wiggly has had some minor buffs. I don't think it does enough though. On to Slowbro. I think Slowbro is also another B tier. Would I put it high B tier though? I don't know. I don't think you can catch people off with your Unite, which always is going to be useful, especially in any form of gameplay. Obviously, if you have if we're playing duo trios 5 stack, you can coordinate a bit better. I'll probably keep it at the higher end of B tier, just for the fact that like if people are playing well, you can make a 4v5 late game and that can turn games. So that's pretty much it. Machamp, I think Machamp is also another. Like I think it's performing relatively similarly to Lucario. Don't think it's overpowered at all. But I think it's alright. It just kind of relies on the scaling as long as you go cross chop. If you go close combat, you don't need to scale as hard, but it doesn't seem to do as much. You're less mobile, but the unstoppable is always nice. Don't get me wrong. Can't complain with that. I think it's a decent B tier. Next up, Blissey. Blissey, I feel like is kind of being pushed down a little bit. Like obviously, it's definitely getting. It can get good use. The Unstoppable is always going to be nice. The Unite's always going to be nice. I don't know whether to put it up in the top of B tier. I don't think it's worthy of A tier. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. Maybe I guess actually thinking about it, it does do well into some of the other picks. Maybe it's bottom A tier. Maybe it's bottom A tier. If you go Safeguard, it always has like Safeguard's always going to be useful. Softboard also can be very useful. Like I can't see anything too wrong with Blissey, but it just feels like if you want to play a healing support, you do want to stick to Clefable at the moment. But Blissey definitely has usage. Okay, Mamoswine. I think Mamoswine's honestly a solid top of B tier. I don't think it's A tier. I think it's very high up on B tier. The only issue is like obviously everyone's playing Clefable. Mamoswine has dashes, so they get cancelled by Clefable. But Mamoswine's early game is always great. Mamoswine's burst damage is actually very good, and people are playing more damage heavy builds. And if you're paired with Clefable at least, you can kind of just stay alive forever. Also, I've just noticed Clefable's got the defender background. This is a support. What is happening here? Yeah, I think Mamoswine's decent. You can one-shot very many squishies really. Like this Unite, if Mamoswine had a good Unite, Mamoswine would be very high up. But you know, Mamoswine can't have everything, so keep him in the B. Sylveon, I think, is another decent B tier. Let's chuck a Sylveon here. It does well against tanks. Always, you know, you have the self-healing. It doesn't shine. I don't think it proves it's a lot better than a lot of other things, but it's not terrible. It's definitely decent. Can't complain here. Greedent, I think, in solo queue is performing better than stacks. You can always invade. But I don't know whether it's an incredible pick because people aren't really playing it too much. I think it's solo queue definitely like shines because you can just invade, you can do whatever you want. You can always backcap. You can go goal getter strats. You can even team fight if you go like stacking if you want to play. You could, I think it's a solid pick. I'll keep him above Mamo in top of B. Don't think he's A. I think he's top of B. So Decidueye next. I think Decidueye is also one of those picks which it's very good if you can get get your like stacks early game. If you're not stacking, you do less damage. Don't think it's A tier, but I think it's still just a solid pick. I can keep him with these. Who do I think so? I think Decidueye is probably better than the other two actually. I think Decidueye definitely has good usage in this map. But the issue is, like, if you have anything that, like, Mew outranges Decidueye, really. Like, if you can dodge Decidueye's abilities a lot easier than Mew's. But I think it definitely does well. It has usage. So Dragonite, I think Dragonite next is still another, like, all the all-rounders, I think none of them are terrible apart from Garchomp. I think all-rounders are doing pretty decently. I think Dragonite can stay in the B tier. It's still very good. I just realized I haven't put anything in the S tier yet, really. Maybe I need to shuffle some stuff around soon. But yeah, I think it's not terrible. It's still got use. It still can be played. But other stuff just does its job better, really. Like securing doesn't seem to be as much of an importance. But Rayquaza did get an HP nerf a little while back, so it definitely does a lot more to that compared. But yeah, it's still a solid pick, I think. So next up, Serena. I think Serena's a solid A tier. Like, I maybe do I put it in S tier? No, I don't. I'm torn between S and A tier. I don't know if maybe I put Clefable S tier. Maybe I put Clefable S tier. I'm very torn. Do I move everything up? Because I still think Serena's very, very strong pick right now. But then I don't know. I don't know whether to move stuff. Okay, maybe I slide. Maybe I slide these two up. And then I might move some other stuff up here. I'll keep it like this for now. But yeah, Serena, it just feels like Serena's just staying very, very good. It got nerfed a while back and it just isn't performing badly at all. It's performing very well. It can always do the same job it's done. Like, it doesn't really need anything else, I think, at the moment. I think it's a very strong pick. So Trevenant, I think, is another B tier contender. I think it's another, like, kind of meh Pokemon. It's not crazy, but it does its job. It's, if you get early stacks, you can kind of snowball games, but it doesn't seem to do as much as it used to do. Aegislash, I think, is still S tier pick. I think it still does too much. Clefable is, the thing is, everything I think is good does kind of get countered by Clefable, which is why I think Clefable is so good with gravity, at least. I think it's just very good. It stays at the top. Hooper, I think, is a solid D tier. It just isn't performing well. Maybe I put it as C tier. It's probably better than these. I think it's a solid C tier, but it's just not performing well. It's lost everything compared to what it used to have. The healing and base. Maybe people aren't trying the Trick as much. Maybe Trick would have more usage, but it just isn't performing as well at all. Pteranodon, I think, especially with solo queue, its win rate shows that it is just such a very, very strong pick in solo queue. In 5 stacks, not so much, but I think it performs up here. Actually, doing this, if I based it more on solo queue as well, and win rates, maybe I need to shuffle some stuff around still. But like, you can't deny that Pteranodon having like a 54% win rate or whatever in solo queue with a specific build, like, it can't be bad. And also, I think Azumarill is a very strong pick. Maybe I put him like upper A tier. The early game is just very good. It just doesn't die as well. Like, its healing through Aqua Tail is crazy. Very strong. There's not much you can really say about it other than that. Like, its Unite, its cooldown's so low, you can do whatever you really want on it. Okay, next up, I think Espeon. I'll keep Espeon down here, down in the lower B tier. It's not really shining in any way. Its early game's always good. You can snowball, try and keep a lead, but it's still very squishy. And other attackers just do its job better. It's got short range. It doesn't really do as much as you want it to do. Delphox, I think, is It's a very nice outplay potential pick. I think it's maybe I'm biased. Maybe I should just keep it at top of B. But it feels like you can always outplay people with it, and it doesn't matter what happens. Like even though it has a terrible early game, you can kind of snowball. You can try and catch up and just capitalize on its low unite cooldown, your mobility and everything. I think I'll keep it at top B, but I like it personally more. So Glaceon, I think Glaceon's still S tier, honestly. I don't think it's pushed down, but I think it's just it's still very strong. It always has the potential to do anything. You can snowball, and when you snowball, you snowball even harder. So I think it's a very, very strong pick. Buzzwole, I think it's still a solid B tier. I don't think it's A tier. It's true. Its combos are very nice. You can You can superpower, smackdown, superpower, and one shot many things. When you snowball, you can just dominate the game. The only issue is if you have a rough early game, you can't really do too much. You need to try and find picks, and you need to kind of shut down the strongest people. And a lot of the time, if you engage and don't get someone, it's very doomed. You just get shut down completely. And obviously, Clefable doesn't help with this. So next up, Tyranitar. I think Tyranitar, especially in solo queue, it's meant to be a late game scaling thing, but Larvitar performs very well. Pupitar is the only time I hate Tyranitar. It just sucks. I don't know. I'll leave these two in the predictions tier for now, actually. But yeah, I think Tyranitar, it's just performing very well. It feels like it shouldn't be performing as well as it does, but it is. It's just performing too well. I can't deny that. Mew are going at the top. Mew is the most broken thing. Like Mime is incredibly strong, but Mew is just too strong. Like Mew needs to be nerfed. It does too much. It's too mobile. It does too much damage. Its cooldowns are too low. It can do anything you want it to do, really. If you think Mew is not broken, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Mew is completely broken. So Scyther. Scyther, I think, is very squishy still. You know, it's very squishy, but its damage, I like it. I think its damage is great. I think it can carry games, but the issue is it's so squishy. Obviously, Fable still screws it over, but I think you have to run full heal on it. I think also the same with Scizor. I think Scizor is like high A tier right now. I think Scizzle's buffs feel very nice. Its sustainability is insane. The issue is it's weak to special attacking things, which, you know, Mew and Mime are prevalent in every single game you play, really. They're the main things which are going to shut down Scizor. So you can't do too much about it. Like, you just kind of have to make sure you're dodging with your abilities, which fortunately you have two mobile abilities. So you can dodge both Mew and Mime's abilities, but it's not the easiest thing. But it's still performing very well. Dodrio, I think Dodrio is honestly top of S tier. It's very close to being double S in my opinion. I think it's one of those picks where people are definitely understanding more and more each time. Like as the game keeps progressing, more patches, its win rate is skyrocketing. It can kind of do whatever it wants as soon as it gets level 5. Like, as long as if you shut down its level 5, it can't snowball as quickly. But as soon as it gets level 5, it just plays. You play how you want to on Dodrio. You literally do anything. It's the king of invading, really, especially level 5 onwards. And yeah, there's not much you can really do. I keep opening the top thing, but yeah. So Zoroark's coming soon. I do want to say Zoroark, I think, is going to be like looking at the test server. Obviously, you can't go exactly how the test server is going to be, but it looks like one of those crazy mobility speedsters, which I think will go in S tier. I think it's going to be a low S tier. I don't think it's going to be released underpowered, because it looks like if you've released this thing as underpowered, like how can it be underpowered with that mobility? Even if it has average damage with that mobility, I feel like it'll still be a good pick, but we'll see. And Sableye, I think Sableye is going to come into the game and it's going to be tuned down. It's going to be complete poop. In solo queue, in 5 stacks, it might be like I think it's going to be a B tier. But in solo queue, I think Sableye is going to be one of those things where you just have a non-playing Pokemon in your game a lot of the time. Its Unite is going to be griefed by many people. Like, people aren't going to understand how to use it properly at the beginning. I do think it's going to be not performing too great. But that's my thoughts. You can flame me for my picks in this tier list if you want. Maybe I could have separated B tier a bit more, but I think this is a pretty solid. Actually, Lucari's looking a bit too low. Why have I put him this low? He can stay up here. He can stay with his other friend here. But yeah, I think this is a solid tier list. It's kind of a mix of solo and 5-stack, and anything in between. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.